Hey, hey, hey. How are you? Sandra here again, and welcome to My Life in the Bible. I haven't spoken to you guys in a while, but listen, there's something I want us to talk about today. There's a topic that I had a few days ago with a few people, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on it, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about it because I think it's something very important. So, listen, over the weekend, I attended a Bible study with some ladies, and we did talk about a few things, but amongst all the different discussions that kept coming up, we did talk about something. We talked about offense. And although the conversation we had about offense was interesting to say the least, I was left wondering to myself the number of times I've walked around with unresolved feelings and anger, and unresolved feelings of anger and offense towards one person or another. I pondered on the time I've wasted, the sleep I have lost, brooding over issues that the offender may not even know they have committed. But most importantly, I thought about the distance and the strain that it put on my relationship with God. And I thought it was so interesting because my takeaway from that conversation was not so much the context in which we talked about offense, but more about the reflection in my life. And I thought to bring this to your attention because you know what? It's something very important, and I think it's something we need to discuss. But listen, it's in the title, My Life and the Bible. So why don't we go there, right? What would be the whole point if we don't refer to the Bible? So I was looking at Matthew chapter 6, verse 15. And it says, but if you do not forgive others, and I'm reading from the Amplified Version, okay? And I'll start again. But if you do not forgive others, nurturing your heart and anger with the result that it interferes with your relationship with God, then your Father will not forgive your trespasses. So basically what this is saying is that because I walk in offense and unforgiveness, it hinders my relationship with God, and it also means that God does not forgive me of my sins. And it's not that I didn't know this Bible verse, but it hit home for me when we did have this discussion over the weekend. Because I thought to myself, how many times do we carry on anger and offense and carry it on for far too long? Now, one, it hinders the relationship that you have with God. It then hinders the relationship you have with that person. And the thing about it that I realized is you're the one carrying the offense, so the person on the other end doesn't know what's happening unless you've brought it up to them. But if you haven't, it still remains your burden. As a matter of fact, whether or not you bring it up, as long as you continue to carry the resentment and offense, you're the one that's hindering your relationship with God. And it left me feeling a certain kind of way because I was like, what? What? There are times, even though it was justifiable that somebody has done something to offend me, I probably have let it linger on too long. And I'm sure you've done this at different points in your lives where you've chosen to carry on something longer than it should last and completely fail to resolve it. So my concern there is, where do you stand with God? Because for me, that's what was standing out for me. Where do I stand with God when I can't forgive my brother, when I can't forgive my sister, when I can't forgive the people around me. Where am I getting the boldness to come to God about anything else? If I'm expecting him to hold me to a certain standard that I am not living up to. And like I said, it kept playing in my mind. It's been playing in my mind, and I've been wondering to myself, God, I want to talk to people about this, but I want for it to make sense. And the one thing I've come to find out about the Bible, guys, is that there is everything under the sun in the Bible. Name it, it's there. Literally, there is a fix for everything. Everything has been addressed. So, and I kept thinking about different things and different scenarios in the Bible that could talk about resentment and offense, but none of them was resonating with what I needed for us to speak about. But like I said, because it is important for you to have a good standing with God, it is actually very important that we learn to forgive others. We learn to take everything that people say lightly. And I'm not making light of any situation, pun intended. I am literally just trying to say that for your own good, no matter how hard it is, you then get to sit down with it and make the decision that, is this worth me not having a relationship with God? Or is it something that I can resolve so that I can go to sleep and have peace? So that I can continue to have thriving, healthy relationships with the people around me? So that I can just overall be healthy. Because let me tell you something. Offense is like a cancer. It grows. It grows. It stops being about the thing that happened and begins to become about everything else around the situation. Everything else. So it literally starts to grow. And so you begin to see and magnify everything else about that situation and probably about the person. And the person here being the offender, right? In quotes. It's not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. So guess what? In as much as it is hard, it is important for us to find a compromise. It is very important for us to find a compromise. It's important that if nothing else, your relationship with God remains intact. Because the thing about offense that I realized is that while I am brooding, while I'm losing sleep, the person I'm having these feelings towards is not even bothered about it, is carrying on with their life and moving on. Because the thing about offense is, when I do something to somebody or say something to somebody, I might know where I'm coming from and I might come from a good place, but I can't determine how you feel about it. And that's where the problem with offense is. So if you don't receive it the way I have given it to you, then it becomes an issue, right? And it gets bigger than it should get. And therefore, it's still up to you, the receiver, whoever is on the receiving end. It's up to you to make the decision. Is this worth me sacrificing my relationship with God? Is it worth it for me to beef, for the next 30 years and completely lose my spot with God. Personally, I don't think that's not a compromise I'm willing to make. Absolutely not. I'm not going to make that sacrifice. And guess what? I'm urging you to do the same. Do not make a compromise with your relationship with God, because guess what? There is so much in the grand scheme of things. Life is still moving on. So that thing that you might want to hang on to, because for whatever reason it keeps you feeling like a victim and keeps you feeling a certain kind of way, it still remains not worth it, because then you lose a bigger picture. You lose focus of where you're going. You completely miss it. You miss everything else. Because guess what? You decide to have tunnel vision on something that, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, is not even worth the time and effort and emotion that it's being allocated. And to crown this off, I just wanted to give you one more Bible verse. And this is Colossians 3:13. And it says, be tolerant with one another and forgive one another whenever any of you has a complaint against someone else. You must forgive one another, just as the Lord has forgiven you. Now, the Lord has forgiven me. And the thing about it is, if we as human beings can take a step back and realize that we are actually imperfect, I think it puts things in perspective. It gives me the realization that every single day I wake up, the mercies of God are renewed, because I have sinned in my thought, in my word, in my deed. And God is saying, I'm giving you a new chance. He's forgiving me of my sins and giving me a new day to try again. So what gives me the audacity to hold on to a grudge? And yet God in heaven is forgiving me. Because I'm a human being, and human beings are prone to error. So if I know that at the back of my mind, why can't I offer the same to other people? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you walk around careless and people keep offending you and hurting you. But at the same time, what will you do about it? Walk around with the offense for the rest of your life? Either way, whichever way you look at it, you're the one receiving it. You get to decide how you receive it. Either you receive it or you don't receive it. But whatever you do, make sure that your relationship with God stays intact. Now, I know this one might be a little bit intense, and I truly hope that it is intense, because I want for you guys to actually treat it that way and be very, very spiritually alert when you notice that somebody or someone around you in whatever situation you might be is offensive to you in any way. Be very mindful of where your emotions stand and how you deal with your emotions. Because like I said, ultimately, your relationship with God is at stake if you choose to hold on to the offense. Now, share this with your friends. Tell your family members about it. Share this. Give me your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you have to say about this. But most importantly, I want your hearts to be pure every single time. Let's learn to live free of offense. And take it from me, because I used to be one to hold grudges, but what does it matter? What does it matter when I know right now that if I'm holding the offense, I'm holding back my relationship with God? And at the same time, if God can forgive me, who am I not to forgive? I'm still a very minute portion in this whole ecosystem. So guess what? Let it go, guys. It's absolutely not worth it. I love you all. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of your week.